Today is July 2nd, 2024. I want to welcome all of you to this meeting of your Los Angeles City Council. I'm Paul Krikorian, President of the Council, and we're ready to begin. We'll be taking public comment today both here in the Council chambers as well as by teleconference, and we will be taking extensive public comment today, especially because we have nearly 200 items on our agendas today to get through.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Whoever's shouting out, I'm going to warn you only this one time. We can't have disruptions in the meeting. As I mentioned, we have 200 items that we're going to try to get through. So please, I know people feel passionately about things, but please try to allow the meeting to proceed.
And I believe that was Mr. Candido, Mr. President.
Okay.
And that's the end of the motion.
Thankfully, yes. So Councilmember McOsker, I believe, Councilmember McOsker, you're the seconder. To the folks who took the time and effort to come down to the council chambers, I just want to explain and apologize that we have to read these technical things into the record. They are all posted on the board, so if you want to read them on your own, they're posted up there. The reason that we have to do this out loud like that is because there are people who want to comment on the phones who don't have access to the boards, and so in order to accommodate those who are calling on the phones, we have to read it out loud. So I apologize that some of this seems tedious and long-winded, but that's just the way we have to do it. Next, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to ask that we substitute item 104 with a substitute motion, which the City Attorney can read into the record after brief remarks I'd like to make right now. That's all right?
Yes, without objection, go right ahead.
I further ask that the substituted motion be continued to the first meeting after the recess, July 31st, per instructions from the City Attorney's Office in accordance with the Brown Act's noticing requirements. So the original motion was introduced by Councilmember Blumenfield and me last week in response to the deeply troubling and unacceptable violence in the Pico Robertson neighborhood last Sunday. However, after many conversations with colleagues, the mayor, the City Attorney's Office, and interfaith leaders across the city, it became apparent that this funding is needed beyond the scope of the initial motion. To address this, the substitute motion directs all funding to the Civil and Human Rights Department for neighborhood security grants and increases the amount of funding from $1 million to $2 million. It opens up the emergency grants program to all faith-based orgs. I believe that this...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, there will be no interruptions of council members as they're speaking. Councilmember Yaroslavsky has the floor and she's not finished.
I believe that this is an appropriate and necessary change to ensure that all faith communities across Los Angeles are able to access these funds while also addressing the urgent need to increase security at Jewish institutions. I do want to just close by talking about why I believe this funding, regardless of the mechanism used to appropriate it, is so needed right now. The violence we saw on June 23rd at Adas Torah was not the first of its kind, and it won't be the last. It was an escalation of tension felt across the country, and we need to take it seriously and act swiftly. The threats are real, and the fear of a proxy war for what's happening in the Middle East spilling onto our streets here in LA is real. I've said this many times, but I think it important to reiterate that everyone has a right to peaceful protest. It's the foundation of our democracy, and that right must be protected. But that doesn't mean there's a right to violence, and we all of us deserve to feel and to be safe and to live without fear of hate.
Okay. We will have no shouting out. Sergeants, I want you to help me identify whoever continues to shout out. They need to be excluded from the meeting. Councilmember Yaroslavsky has the floor. She won't be interrupted.
Thank you, Council President. This substitute motion seeks to urgently increase security services around our houses of worship and religious institutions, no matter the denomination, so that our communities are better prepared to respond to acts of violence or hate. It's a plan supported by the mayor, LAPD, and religious institutions across Los Angeles, many of whom have been forced to divert funding away from social services to security in recent months, and gaps in security still remain. It intentionally mirrors and accelerates a program announced last week by the governor, that will allocate $80 million over the next 2 years for neighborhood security grants to help fund security initiatives around our religious institutions. We believe that the funds we appropriate have a high likelihood of being reimbursed by the state once their grant program opens this fall, and the guidelines to be developed by the Civil and Human Rights Department will replicate the state's grant guidelines. This money is intended as a stopgap until the state money starts flowing this fall. In closing, colleagues, I ask for your vote to substitute this new motion for the original one and to continue this item per the city attorney's guidance due to Brown Act concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And is there a second? Is there a second? Councilmember Bloomfield seconds. Thank you. Next, Councilmember Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Out of an abundance of caution, I'm recusing myself from items 38, 39, 40, 126, and 130 because as presented, I can't determine who's working on those projects. Additionally, I'm recusing myself from items 108, 134, 136, 145, and 158 due to my wife's employer having worked with applicants in the past. And per the city attorney, I'm recusing myself from item 141 because I am a housing provider. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you. So all of those items will be held on the desk for purposes of Mr. Price's recusal.
Well, I had a question because it talks about being referred to Civil Human Rights, but I'd like it to also be referred to Budget Committee because this has not been deliberated by Budget Committee. So I'd like it dual referred to Budget and Civil Human Rights.
All right, Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
Yeah, with all due respect, we were hoping this could be voted on today and get the money out the door as quickly as possible.
Again,
and
folks,
the city attorney's office advised us that that wasn't possible given that the substituted motion was substantially different from the original one.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Yaroslavsky, hold on a second. Folks, you'll have your opportunity to speak if you wish to speak at the microphone. But this is not a town hall, and there won't be shouting out and disruption of the work of the city council. I've said this multiple times. I don't want to have to say it again. People who shout out will be removed from this meeting. So please, let the council members do their work. Councilmember Yaroslavsky.
So with all due respect, we can't vote on this today and start to stand up this program. The hope is that we can mimic what the state is going to be doing later this year. The more committees we send this to, the longer this takes. I think the less safe all of our religious institutions will be over this summer. I've been in close contact with LAPD. They have serious concerns about public safety on our streets this summer. And the longer we mire this down in endless committees, once we come back from recess, I think the less safe Los Angeles will be. And I'm very worried about the fact that we can't approve this today. The temperature is high on all sides, as you see here today. And it's high not only in here, but it's high on our streets. And our institutions are feeling that, and there's a lot of fear, and there are big gaps in funding that the state money will hopefully fill, but it's not going to be available till the fall. So the longer we screw around by going to committees, and I understand that this is not an insignificant amount of money. I would not be bringing this if I wasn't very worried about public safety in Los Angeles. And when we can make our institutions safer, I think Angelinos are going to be safer, and I think people are going to feel significant relief to know that the city is filling in this stopgap way. And the expectation is going to be that that money comes back to us as reimbursable money, which is why we're going to mimic the state's program, which already has guidelines that we can just copy and paste and implement here at the city faster. But if we're not going to do it faster, there's really no point in doing it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Padilla.
Is there any way that we can get LAPD here to tell us
No.
how they're feeling, or any way that we can get a representative from civil
Not
rights?
during this meeting. No, we're going to have to.
That's all I needed to know.
We're going to have to vote on the motion to substitute today. We are not going to hear the substance of the substituted motion. Okay, Councilmember Blumenfield?
But when this does come back to council, we could have LAPD
Yeah,
or whoever
exactly.
here, because it will be discussed. So we're not actually passing this, but the idea that Ms. Yaroslavsky is putting forward, which is that because the state has a program, and we want to make sure that program gets implemented as fast as possible. If we just mimic the state program, then that money could be reimbursable. So the idea is to do something quickly, get civil rights to do a grant program that is identical to the state, so that when we get that, we can just reimburse that money as soon as the state program. State program probably won't be done till October. There's not a lot of time, but this enables a little bit of a stopgap measure to get some money out the door and get the state program basically up and running faster, because the temperature is so hot. So that's why I urge an aye vote on the motion to substitute moving forward today. And then we'll actually have to vote on it, whether we pass it in July.
Thank you. Councilmember Padilla, did you want to be heard again?
The reasons why I also wanted to talk to civil rights is because there's plenty of motions lingering through the city, through council, related to reimbursements and the time of reimbursements. So I wanted to ask, how are we positive that they're even going to be able to put these funds out within this time period? It almost seems like it's something that's going to be impossible, whether we mimic the structure of the state or not. So what's the answer to that? We're guaranteed that this money is just going to pour out. We know that religious institutions and nonprofits are ready to apply. And how do we guarantee any sort of equity from institutions throughout the entire city of Los Angeles? I just have a lot of questions.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Rodriguez, did you need to be heard again?
Yeah, and I'm trying to ascertain why dual referring to both budget and to civil human rights is slowing down the process. If we're not voting on this item today, I don't understand why we can't send it to the appropriate committees. We have a lot of financial decisions to make. There's allocations of resources that are being proposed in a variety of amendments that are coming forward even today. So how is it slowing it down? They can be referred concurrently so that we have a full understanding. I don't understand.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to close debate on the motion to substitute. The motion to substitute is now before us. So on the question of whether to substitute, Councilmember Yaroslavsky is calling for an aye vote, and then we will vote on, because your motion is relevant to the actually, it may be appropriate to vote on the motion on Councilmember Rodriguez's motion first, because it was most recently made. Madam Clerk, what say you on the? Because it really goes to the substance of the substituted motion.
So at this time, Councilmember Rodriguez made a motion to refer the motion that is on the agenda as number 104 to the Budget and Finance and Innovation Committee, as well as to the Civil Rights, Equity, Immigrant, and CRIAD Committee. So that should be the first vote,
Okay.
Mr. President.
Let me just clarify that, because that's not what I understood. I understood Councilmember Rodriguez to be speaking to the substituted motion. So if we can vote on the motion to substitute, after we vote on the motion to substitute, we will then vote on Councilmember Rodriguez's motion to dual refer. Councilmember Soto Martinez.
I just have a question for just a clarification. My understanding was that if the substitute motion went forward, it would come back here to full council. Now we're talking about it being referred to two committees?
To budget and to civil human rights.
So what we're voting on now is whether to substitute. After we vote on whether to substitute, we cannot take up the substituted motion because it hasn't been agendized and it's substantially different than the motion that's currently on the agenda. If that happens, if we vote to substitute, then Councilmember Rodriguez's motion will be before us to refer the matter to the Budget and Finance Committee. Councilmember Ahmed.
Just a little bit confused about the referral question, because the original motion was a Rule 16 motion, which was supposed to come in front of the full council. So I'm trying to understand what is the interaction between Councilmember Rodriguez's motion and the original intent of the motion, which was a Rule 16. Thank you.
Well, if we vote to substitute, the Rule 16 referral will no longer apply, because there will be a substitute. We will have substituted the. We will have approved substitution that would then moot the Rule 16 referral of the original motion. So it would be subject to referral under the ordinary referral process, and we would then vote on Councilmember Rodriguez's motion specifically to refer it to Budget and Finance. Okay?
Just to be clear, because then by the substitution that eliminates the Rule 16,
Exactly.
what we're basically doing is acting as if this motion is being introduced for the first time.
That is
So it's
precisely
not,
right.
got it. So everyone's got it? So we vote on the substitution, and then I will ask for an aye vote on the motion to dual refer to both Budget and Finance and Civil Human Rights.
Exactly right. That is the state of affairs. That is the actual process that we will pursue. But Councilmember Ahmed.
Sorry, just a follow-up question. I understand Councilmember Yaroslavsky's request for a speedy consideration of this, and so I'm curious about, is there a procedural pathway to that speediness that we have available to us? Thank you.
Well, the process would be either you could vote no on Councilmember Rodriguez's motion, or if that motion prevails and it is referred to those committee chairs could always choose to waive consideration as well. There's a number of different ways that it could happen, but the referral at least allows the jurisdiction of those committees to be able to consider the matter. So with that, members, I'm going to close debate on the motion to substitute. The motion to substitute on whether to substitute is now before us. Councilmember Yaroslavsky is calling for an aye vote. So on that item, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
14 ayes.
Thank you. Next, yes, Madam Clerk.
Next is Councilmember Rodriguez's motion to refer the 105, the substituted motion, to Budget and Finance and Innovation and CREID Committee, and it was seconded by Ms.
Councilmember Padilla.
Thank you.
Okay, so Councilmember Rodriguez's motion is now before us. Councilmember Rodriguez calls for an aye vote. Councilmember Yaroslavsky is asking for a no vote on that motion. Please open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the votes.
8 ayes, 6 noes.
This motion is referred to the two committees.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like next to recognize Councilmember Lee.
Mr. President, I apologize. We have a lot of things flying around today with a long agenda, and I misunderstood. I'd like to make a motion to reconsider item number 104, because my vote will change the outcome.
All right, is the motion to reconsider Councilmember Rodriguez's motion, or is it to reconsider the motion to substitute?
To reconsider Councilmember Monica Rodriguez's motion.
Okay. All right, so members, sorry, this is a two-vote process. We first have to vote on whether to substitute. Whether to reconsider. Councilmember Lee asks for reconsideration. So the first vote is to reconsider, and then we will vote again on Councilmember Rodriguez's motion. So on reconsideration, is there a second for the motion for reconsideration? Seconded by Councilmember Park. All right, that motion is before us. It's not debatable. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
12 ayes, 2 noes.
All right. Councilmember Rodriguez's motion is again before us, and again, Councilmember Rodriguez asked for an aye vote. Councilmember Yaroslavsky asked for a no vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll and tabulate the votes.
7 ayes, 7 noes.
All right.
This motion fails.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, what is next before us?
My name is Success Money. I am a member of ACE. I live in the District 8 for 6 years. I support the LA CPIO. I would like to speak on the items, and I would also like to speak to a staff member of District 8 regarding my own personal harassment and illegal eviction. The South LA CPIO is needed to prevent displacement, protect residents from harassment, and maintain the character of our neighborhoods and affordable housing needed in our neighborhoods to prevent further displacement. We want to thank you for listening to the community needs and to pass the ordinance with all of the included amendments that were added to it, which will all add additional protections for the tenants. These amendments are needed to prevent displacement not only here but all across Los Angeles and should be added to the Resident Protection Ordinance. Additionally, we are here to support the Fast Food Justice Ordinance because all workers deserve the right to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you'll step over to the side here, we're going to see if we can get somebody from Council District 8 staff to talk to you as well. If you could just step over to this side.
My community and I worked on a proposal to create a Guatemalan square in the city of Los Angeles. Ms. Hernandez denied it and then presented her own version, which is a smaller project in a different area. By doing this, she totally disrespected, ignored the will of the Guatemalan community. Furthermore, she enlisted for her project event planners, not activists from the West Side, and former politicians also from out of town. Ms. Hernandez went as far as to get a letter of support from the Consulate Office of Guatemala. Her supporters are a very selective group which do not represent the average local small businesses, vendors, or residents in the area. Why is she trying to micromanage this community project? Thank you.
Morning, council members. My name is Raul Claros. I'm here to oppose item 47. As I've come up here for a couple of weeks, I've asked you all to understand the dynamics on item 47, which is a project that originally was started by a group with the Guatemalan Square, as you heard the previous speaker talk about. It was a process that lasted 20 months. Then it was blocked. There was a neighborhood council president that was instructed by the sitting council member not to submit a community impact statement. There is proof and evidence of that. This is why this motion is now a cover-up. It's in bad faith, and this is why we're asking you all to either vote no or abstain from voting until you're able yourself as a voting council member to speak to these groups. You're going to hear from two different groups once again, but we cannot have anyone divide community, especially culture groups in their district, even if they are a sitting council member. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Mi nombre es Mario Ávila.
My name is Mario Avila.
Soy un artista,
and I am an
pintor
artist.
y escultor.
I'm an artist and sculptor, painter.
Tengo más de 30 años de vivir acá en los Estados Unidos.
I've been living in the United States for more than 30 years.
Y soy una parte de este pueblo maya que salió por el genocidio en mi país.
And I'm part of the Mayan people that had to escape due to the genocide in my country.
Esta moción 47.
This motion number 47.
Me molesta que no seamos tomados en cuenta los pueblos mayas ni los pueblos mestizos.
It is irritating that we are not taking into account the Mayan people and the mixed
Así que
people.
lo repudio profundamente y pido que se pare.
So I repudiate this deeply, and I'm asking to stop this.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Yesenia Conde. I am the attorney that was supervising the original Guatemalan Square project, and I have firsthand knowledge of how Councilwoman Eunice Hernandez sabotaged this project. Ms. Hernandez, you need to stop lying to the media and telling the media only the partial truth. You know what you did. You know you sabotaged this project. You know that you instructed Alexander Robinson not to submit the community impact report in an effort to sabotage this project, and now you want to sit there and you want to lie to the community and you want to make all these promises, and so far you haven't delivered anything. Look at how Council District 1 is right now. You haven't done anything. So I urge this council to be fully informed of any motions that are presented by Councilwoman Eunice Hernandez. I urge this council to vote no or to abstain from voting until they hear the full truth, because nobody in this council chamber could tell me what happened, because I was there and I do have firsthand knowledge of what happened.
Please. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, council people. My name is Alex Alvarado. I'll be speaking on item 47. Just like the Palestine people are fighting and the Palestine people are here, they also need to know that Eunice Hernandez, you're corrupt. You know what you did, and it's not over. You're grinning right now. But I ask all council members to investigate. I was here last time. You sabotaged the project by directing Alexander Robinson not to submit that community impact report. You divided our community, and some of those people back there that are gonna speak, you have bottom off by offering them little $5,000, $20,000 to help them on their business. Why now? You had 18 months to do that. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you talk about Kevin De Leon, and you talk about other council persons, you doing the same thing, but the only reason is that you got caught. It's not over yet. Vote no or sustain from your vote the day to day, because you know what you've done. And Heather Hudd, you have the right to vote a no on this motion and do the right thing, because you got swindled into vote and to signing something you have no clue, and you have a lot of Guatemalans in the 10th district pissed off at you. Today you have the right to do the right thing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Your time's expired. Next speaker.
Thank you. You know, I've been here 35 years, and I love these individuals who come on the one item issue that they're bothered by. The rest of the time, they don't give a damn about this city. They come here and they disrespect this country. They come here and they don't stand up when, yeah, right here. Look at all these family members who have died and served you, but what do you do?
Candido, please speak to the council. Speak to the council, Candido, or your time.
I understand that, sir, but you know it sickens me when you see that kind. They're here, they're bitching, yet they do nothing, because when they're all done here, they go back into their communities and do nothing. The Guatemalan community here is trying. I want to thank you folks for being here, because you want the American dream. You want to be part of it, and you deserve a part of it. So keep fighting, and you will get what you deserve. But these people who have been here and who disgrace this country because they can't even appreciate what people have died as a Native American, okay? We know what genocide is. We know the war has to stop. But by these individuals, yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Thank you. Thank you. Candido, you'll need to sit down and be silent, please, or you'll have to be removed. All right.
That was
Next speaker, please.
My name is Rolana Jerda, and I'm a 17-year-old Palestinian. I'm addressing item 104 today. I'm here to demand that LA City Council doesn't reward the Zionist violence from last weekend with $1 million of our hard-earned tax dollars for increased security services and training. And not only that, an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. The people of Gaza have been attacked by the most powerful nations in the world. They have been slaughtered by the thousands on a daily basis, displaced, starved, denied medical care. They have no access to clean water, electricity, or shelter. Every part of Gaza is being targeted by the IOF. Not only that, our brothers and sisters here in LA have been attacked by Zionists and cops. Last weekend when I was in Pico Robertson, an action took place to protest the real estate action selling illegally stolen Palestinian land. The action was peaceful until aggressive Zionists came to instigate and cause violence, knowing no consequences would be made. They had private security from the IOF protecting them. They do not need more money to incite more violence against pro-Palestinian protesters. The violence we experienced last weekend was unlike any other. I was verbally harassed, almost ran over, and followed to the car. They came to our car and knocked on our windows and blocked off our car from leaving. And increased security will allow them to think they have the ability to continue inciting this violence with no consequences. This money should be going to unhoused school children. We urge you to support the kids in our community instead. Money for schools and education, not for wars and occupation. Thank you.
Well, I'm speaking on item 104. I felt fear and extreme anxiety at the protest in Pico Robinson. I was there to protest the sale of real estate property in the West Bank. The synagogue hosted the event and selling illegally stolen land from the indigenous people of Palestine. The Zionists like to claim that it's anti-Semitic that we chose to protest at a synagogue, but they are forgetting to add why we were there. Stolen Palestine land being sold here in LA. I couldn't walk to my car without being harassed, being called Hamas or terrorist, or being cursed at and using harsh language. They blocked off my car and would not allow me to leave. I saw people getting beat up by Zionists, police doing absolutely nothing, watching the Palestinian protesters getting beat up and harassed and arrested, but yeah, they are still pushing the peaceful protesters with their batons. The $1 million you're proposing to use for Zionist security should be going to the unhoused children of LA. This is our tax dollars, and our children in LA deserve our tax dollars. My question is why don't you fund the children of LA? Mayor Bass, you were quick to claim the event on Sunday was anti-Semitic without investigation. I was there, and videos are clear. They are clear we were attacked. Pay attention to your city and stop dividing your city.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
Hello.
Hold on, sorry.
I'm sorry,
I don't want
one
to take
moment,
away your
please.
time.
Whoever is shouting in the back, I'm sorry, sergeants, please remove whoever is shouting in the back immediately. I think it's Candido. Candido, I'm sorry, you're ordered removed from the council chambers pursuant to Rule 12.
And Mr. Candido, you were warned previously at the beginning of the meeting.
Sergeants, whoever else is continuing to shout is ordered removed. All right, look, folks, I'm going to say this again. There's room for disagreement, there's room for passion, there's room for saying what you want to say to this council chambers, but I will not have a situation where people are not letting other people speak. That is not going to happen in this council chambers. So with that, go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Christina. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew here with IATSE Members for Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace. I oppose the $2 million of public funding going to this security, and I reject the narrative that people don't feel safe with mass protesters. We wear masks because we're in a pandemic, and being healthy sustains our movement. We also mask to protect our community from violent counter-protesters. Exhibit A, including literal Nazis standing behind Israeli flags, standing behind an army of LAPD officers as they hit us, spray us with bear mace, and attack our elders, your elders. And they face no consequences. Let's reflect on times in American history when racist violence was justified with false claims of victimhood while being shielded from consequences. Let's connect the dots on how little has changed and how much farther we have to go together. This city wants to waste public funding to continue the harmful narrative that Jews aren't safe.
Thank you.
But
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
I'm here today with IATSE Members for Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace. I'm an anti-Zionist Jewish American born and raised in Los Angeles. I reject any amount of the budget. Adding any amount of money to the budget deficit by awarding security services and training based on a flawed logic that it makes our community safer when it will actually finance a future towards fascism and result in more violence across the city. How would any amount of money provide safety if LAPD's astronomical budget increases can't? Or giving contracts to organizations like MAG and AM, which the councilwoman wants to, while knowing the lack of oversight in the city's hiring processes that have already caused harm to our community. Just last month, an Urban Alchemy employee working for the city was attacked an unhoused person. How you spend your money shows what you value. If you care about human security, uplift our communities most in need, provide summer lunches for low-income LAUSD students, address the 19% increase in unhoused kids, improve public services like housing and healthcare, but don't weaponize my Jewish heritage to threaten community safety.
Next speaker, please. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. Public comment on item 104.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
We try to open every day with gratitude, so I want to start with showing gratitude to the original motion that was brought up. I appreciate the city recognizing the good work that we do. I appreciate the opportunity to speak the truth, although there are many people that have approached me admitting that they want to get me to say something that would be untrue. I'm waiting to learn the lessons of any times I open my mouth, as we have wins and we have lessons. Jewish communities in the streets of Los Angeles, just like every other community, deserve to feel secure, and that is what we stand for. In Hebrew, there is a word bitachon, which a rabbi would tell you means trust or faith in God. In Ivrit, the modern spoken Hebrew, that word bitachon means security. I'm a firm believer that it is our duty to have faith, as security, secure, the adjective, is a lack of fear. Is that time?
Thank you.
Thank you
very much. All right. Okay, hold on 1 second before the next speaker begins. Ma'am, please don't shout out, but I'm going to instruct Herman and Spindler to sit silently. The next time your voice is heard, you'll be removed from this meeting. We've already had multiple complaints about you, Spindler, disturbing people's ability to listen to other people's public comment. So you have two choices. Sit there and be silent, or leave this council chambers. I'm telling you, the next time I hear a sound from you, you're gone. All right, next speaker.
I am here because I am outraged that the city of LA is looking to spend $2 million to send military-style security forces into Los Angeles neighborhoods. I am also outraged by the ongoing misrepresentation of the violence that has happened at recent protests against the genocide in Gaza. To be clear, those who perpetrate this violence have been aided and abetted by LAPD and Magen-M. These are the same groups who would receive funds from Proposition 104. My sister and I are Jews who stand for equal rights for everyone, and many of these counter-protesters reserve their most hateful rhetoric and violence against people like us. Recently, my sister came to the UCLA campus in solidarity with the peaceful protesters there. As they linked arms with other protesters, they were spat upon, threatened, and assaulted by Zionist Jews. We who put our necks out to speak out against war and violence will surely be further endangered by this dangerous proposition, as those who are already entitled to perpetrate violence will be even more emboldened to do so.
Thank you. Your time is
Please vote no on that.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
I'm speaking to item 104. My name is Dr. Mina Sultana. I'm a Muslim American physician who lives in LA. Firstly, Katy Yaroslavsky, your Islamophobic bias is clear. My friend Jay was fired because he spoke about your bigotry. So we know where your bias is. It is clear to me that amendment item 104 was intentionally diluted because we are outraged about the original item. I am outraged that the city of LA proposed to spend millions of dollars to fund military-style security forces in Los Angeles neighborhoods. I am also outraged about the ongoing misrepresentation of violence that has happened at recent protests. The violence was initiated and continued by violent Zionist individuals. As a Muslim American who stands for equal rights for everyone, including Palestinians who are being subjected to genocide with our tax dollars, I am concerned that there has not been a single independent investigation into violent, often Arabophobic and Islamophobic attacks by Zionist individuals against peaceful activists in Los Angeles. Vote no on any future money for militias in Los Angeles.
Duarte Hernandez.
Good morning.
Wait,
Mr.
I haven't called you yet.
Yes, you did.
I haven't called you. Be quiet.
You just called me.
I have not called on you to speak. Be quiet while I call more names. Carolina Goodman, Sean McMorris. If I didn't already say it, Duarte Hernandez. Brenda Vine. All right, go ahead, sir.
Eloy Riaga. I would like to speak on all items and the general public comment.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin to the
For
items.
the item 82, we are talking about a homeless emergency, local housing in the city of LA. That is my concern because as a homeless person who sometimes live in Figueroa, I reach out numerous times. I also always heard Council President Krikorian talking about we're going to offer housing, we're going to offer shelter, we're going to also offering food. However, when I reach out, when I call them, everybody push me away. I really do not understand where, when, can I get some homeless services? Because, you know, last week we were talking about water, clean water. You know, if I cannot even access clean water, I mean, I don't know what do I do. So if you are talking about providing homeless services, I wish that you guys can put the action, put the money in your mouth, and then get to work. Next, let's talking about 85. Mr. City Attorney, I know you're gonna get upset on 85 because I am the one who talking about the same agenda item every single month. This is talking about a reward leading to the murder. Doesn't matter how many times I talk about this agenda, when you are having so little cops on the street, you're never gonna find those murder. Did you read the news last week? Yesterday, city attorney, they just find another dead body, and then right now you have one unidentified murder, and then every month you guys are taking a body from the West Lake or like unnamed body or whatever, and then unsolved murder. And every month you're gonna put that unsolved murder on the agenda. You're gonna asking the public to help you to solve the murder. And then I wonder, why do we have a police department if you are asking the citizen to help you to fight the crime?
You've exhausted your 1 minute on this item. Please move on to another item.
And then the next item, let's talking about the community beautification, which is 86, Council President 86. I have a concern about the Skid Row beautification. I also have a concern about the Figueroa beautification. And then I have a concern about the all citywide beautification, because we need to provide a safe environment for those Figueroa girls to work. Those Figueroa girls, they deserve to go to work with beauty, with safety, with dignity. And then I also advocate for equal work, for equal pay. You know, we need more Figueroa boys, Figueroa girls, and Figueroa all gender talking about beautification services. Now, let's talking about the general public comment. I'm here to offer my gratitude to Officer Duarte, Sergeant Duarte. I talked about how Officer Ilariaga stopped me from being a rapist. And then right now, I'm not talking about how Sergeant Duarte prevent me from being a sex offender. I was about to enter the residence of my Figueroa girl. I was seeing my homie girl right there. But Officer Sergeant Duarte immediately showed up with public safety services. He immediately showed up with his 24 inches, and then he pulled me out of the Figueroa street, and then he pulled me out and telling me that with my 24 inches right here, I will not allow you to commit a crime in the city of LA. Therefore, I decided to go back to school and becoming a law-abiding citizen. I want to thank the 24 inches of our Sergeant Duarte. I want to thank Sergeant Duarte for the public safety services on Figueroa Street.
Your time has expired.
Good morning, niggers. I want to speak on all items and non-agenda public comment.
You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Before you begin, I expect that we're going to hear some language that's used that is offensive to a great many people who are here. Please keep in mind that, unfortunately, we have to give him his full time. So I would ask that everybody in the audience, please do not interrupt Mr. Herman while he's speaking. If anything, he's trying to bait you into doing so. If you do interrupt, then we do have to warn you because he is allowed to speak. So, but it does not reflect the views of this council
Who just
or
shouted
this city.
out, sergeants? Who shouted out just now?
I believe the lady over there did.
Okay, whoever is shouting out, I've warned this entire audience multiple times, do not disrupt the work of this council. So if I hear it again, you'll be removed from the council chambers. Mr. Herman, start.
3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Hearing comments relative to the application to determine public alcohol and convenience. I'm an objection to the necessity in CD2, the pink-faced dictator, sales of alcohol beverages for fucking off-site consumption. We have enough consumption, Paul. We have enough alcohol on the streets. That's why people are being targeted at the bus and train stops, because they're under the influence of these fucking drugs that you put on our streets every motherfucking time. It's not a convenience. It's not a necessity. It's a safety issue, you white motherfucker. And then on 240678 CD2 Dick, the application to determine public convenience or necessity for the sale of alcohol beverages for the off-sale consumption at Kangaroonian gas station. Well, we don't need those fucking sand niggers in our hood giving alcohol to the neighbors. No. Save Palestine, motherfuckers. Then I go to item 1, dick-faced tater. Grant the application of public convenience and necessity for the sale of alcohol located at 6635 Fallbrook, not fall on your ass broke brook or drunk brook, but no, Avenue, pink-faced dictator. That's item number 1, more fucking alcohol and necessity for the public. Are we not tired of seeing drunks on our streets? Or do I have to speak out to the earth? Is this real? The temperature's rising. I don't want to feel I'm in the wrong talking about alcohol. The reason that we're here and the reason that we fear is that more alcohol, more drugs, more fentanyl, more smoking is going to kill us all.
You've already spoken to those 2 items, so move on to something else or go to general public comment.
All right. Let's go to fuck the convention center. What item is that, fool?
It's general
I want to
public
talk
comment.
about the convention center. Ain't giving
All
me
right,
a
go to
nigger
general
job.
public comment.
It's 54, asshole. That's what I said. Now into my non-agenda public comment. The reason I'm here is to protest and save Palestine from a white niggers who keep sending the money to kill the children. And I know that the temperature in this room is rising, just like my mojo that keeps on rising, and I'm in the wrong. Whoa, I got a reason that
Don't
is
shout into the
real.
microphone.
I'm talking about Save Palestine on my non-agenda public comment. You fucking pink-faced dictator, stop interrupting my fucking public, Tom. 42 U.S.C. politely, fuck you. Bravo.
Have
Next
a seat.
speaker.
Have a seat. I didn't call you, Spindler. I didn't call you. Have a seat.
Dorothy
Next
Hernandez.
speaker. I didn't
Dorothy
call you.
Hernandez.
I didn't call you. Next speaker, please.
Weren't the people before speaking to 104?
So they were given a
I'm
minute,
sorry.
and it
I'm
was
sorry.
a,
One moment,
Go ahead and hold
please.
their time.
Mr. Herman, sit down and be silent.
So they were given a minute. They requested for 104, but the reason why they were given a minute is because it was general public comment. So
Okay. All right. My name is Nadav David. I'm a resident of Pico Robertson neighborhood. I'm speaking on behalf of dozens of Jewish Pico Robertson residents and people who pray in the neighborhood. It's important for you to know that Pico Robertson is part of a diverse Jewish LA community where a 2021 study showed that less than half of the local Jewish population identifies as Zionist. We share in our broad commitments to organize for Palestinian freedom and against land theft and occupation, and to address anti-Semitism as part of other issues, and to create safety for Jews and all people in our city. We are deeply alarmed by the responses we've seen to last Sunday's Palestinian-led demonstration of an Israeli real estate event. We affirm and support the right to protest, especially amidst relentless mass killing of Palestinians in Gaza, carried out by the Israeli state and military and backed by our own U.S. government. Last week alone, we learned that 20,000...
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Next speaker, please. Sorry, your time has expired. Next speaker, please. Yeah, please don't shout out. We're not going to get to everybody. I told you that at the beginning. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry, stop shouting out. How many warnings do I have to give? There's a speaker at the podium ready to speak. This isn't call and repeat. Just be quiet and let the speaker speak.
So I'm here to speak on item 104 and public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
I saw you gave other people opportunity to speak 1 minute for the item and an additional minute for public comment, and I am only asking for the same.
So that was only on items that are open for public comment. Right now, 104 is not open for public comment because this council is not taking action on that item today. So you have 1 minute for general public comment. You can speak to the item 104 if you would like. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Avraham. I'm here to urge you to throw out item 104 in every form. Why are you so mad at Palestine? Palestinians are just people from a real place. Go look at a map, any history book. There's no need to argue, get political, make things about religion. Palestine is real, and Palestine was conquered by the British and the Zionists. Don't make it about religion. Are we in Sunday school? Is God a real estate agent? Please, we all need to grow up. If Russia or China was buying off American politicians, we call that espionage and treason. When Israel buys our politicians, we simply call it AIPAC. Last week, I was here at City Council asking for a ceasefire. Within 10 seconds, the council shut me down and the bailiff got physical with me. How quick you are to put your hands on Jewish people. You don't care about our well-being. Only Israel, only Zionism. And make no mistake, the greatest threat to Jewish safety in America right now, outside of outright Nazis, are Zionists. Within the last year, myself and my Jewish friends have been issued death threats from Zionists.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Next speaker. Sit down. Sit down, please. Next speaker. You're disrupting the meeting. Sit down and be silent. Next speaker. Sit down.
Okay, the speaker who was just at the podium, this is your first and only formal warning. Please do not disrupt this meeting. We have a lot of speakers who are here, so I understand that people are passionate about a lot of items on the agenda. The sooner that you guys, that we are able to move on to the next speaker, the more speakers we can take. So.
And also, I just want to add, I know that shouting draws applause, but shouting also injures the ears of our translator who's listening to this on her headphones and trying to do her job translating for people. So please do not shout into the microphone. It's not necessary. We can hear you. Next speaker, please.
General
Good
comment.
afternoon.
I'd like to address Councilmember Yaroslavsky's hypocrisy. Recently, when a Jewish man attempted to speak up for a ceasefire, this council was quick to not only silence him, but also called on security to remove him before he could finish speaking, and even got physical. These actions make the council complicit in the rise of anti-Semitism and fascism. It needs to stop. Stop emboldening Zionists by providing them with funding that could better serve the people in this city, funding that could, at the very least, install a few more kiosks for public comment. Funding that could do more than provide a Band-Aid to our unhoused community, improve public transit, build more protected bike lanes, and provide more opportunities for the children. We are continually failing time and time again as we stay silent. When you choose to fund a pro-Zionist security firm like Magen Am, you give power to those who've told my husband that jihadists will slit your wife's throat for the way she dresses, or the Zionists who approached me and my Jewish friends at a peaceful protest telling us that, quote, next time you'll get a bullet. It was only a couple months ago that members from Magen Am attacked and harassed UCLA students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
This is absurd to try to get $2 million for more public safety BS when it's not providing safety for anyone. Schools, education, clean water, housing provide safety. We're so sick of this bullshit anti-Semitism being excused. This is not providing safety for anyone, and you all should be ashamed of yourselves for continuing this rhetoric and for supporting this genocide in Palestine. I just want to say again, there's enough fucking money going to arms and violence in this city. We're sick of it. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew, and as a Jew, I will say over and over, police do not make oppressed groups safer, ever. So, and shame on you all for not putting that to the budget committee. It's so fucked up, and you should all be doing other things than fucking arming militaries. Thank you.
I'm a Jewish woman living in Los Angeles, and I oppose the seizure of Palestinian land for Israelis to purchase and develop. I believe in free speech and the right to protest, especially against these kinds of inequities. I do not believe in violence, and I strongly oppose the allocation of our taxpayer money to hire organizations like Magen to protect synagogues. At a time of high tension and resulting in both anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim rhetoric and attack, I urge you all to be careful about how you speak, the language you use, and the way you are portraying the situation. Please listen to all sides. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Miguel Kamnitzer, and I'm here with Jewish Voice for Peace. Like so many here today, I was outraged to hear about a motion to fund private security forces in the name of Jewish safety. More guns on our streets, more policing, and more surveillance will endanger everyone in the city. Council Member Yaroslavsky had the terrible judgment to propose that the private security force Magen Am be one of the main recipients of our tax dollars. Magen Am is staffed by former Israeli military and receives support from the NRA. Among their instructors are far-right fanatics who preach that homosexuality is a sin. As a gay Angelino, I am horrified that an elected official would think it appropriate to unleash these people and their weapons onto the streets of our city. When Councilmember Yaroslavsky and other community leaders claim to speak for all Jews, they do not speak for me. They try to label the movement for Palestinian freedom as anti-Semitic, but they are wrong. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism because occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, and genocide are not Jewish values. Just as I refuse to allow a genocide to happen in my name, I refuse to allow...
Your time has expired. Next speaker.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
General comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin.
My Jewish family was expelled from pogroms in Poland and Lithuania. Do you guys have an idea what that involved? That involved stealing their land theft. And that's what you guys enabled on that Sunday and desecrated and perverted the place of worship. And now that is criminal activity, and now you want to compliment and support the criminals by sending them money? I don't think so. And I was there with other Jews, and we were protesting, exercising our First Amendment, and now what are you going to call us, anti-Semitic? I don't think so. Cut the nonsense and drop the 104 drop the whole thing, because you're just enabling criminal behavior that violates the Geneva Convention, and you're not making us safer.
Hi there. Good afternoon, and fuck the Supreme Court.
Today, I'm here to draw the connection on how the 2020 reaction by police and white supremacist sympathizers were allowed to antagonize, brutalize, bait, and entice protesters, how they have continued to evolve, and again, with impunity, have systematically attacked protesters that have been activated to oppose the ongoing genocide. You then turn a blind eye, and again, you're doing it now. The city has allowed both law enforcement and vigilantes to wield their power at will. They have allowed for abuse of power from law enforcement to call overwhelmingly peaceful protests unlawful assemblies, in essence, using their power to silence our freedoms, to redress our government, and exercise the promise of the First Amendment. This is not what a democracy looks like. In 2020, we watched 3%ers, Proud Boys, off-duty police, and on-duty police gather right here across the police department, knowing there are weapons in the crowd and public use of alcohol. The police stood down as a black woman was taken captive with her arms restricted by a man twice her size, while others bear sprayed her.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
My name is Lydia Ponce, and I'd like to speak on all of the items, including general, because I am a Mayo Quechua indigenous
3 minutes
grandmother.
for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Please begin with the items.
I'm an indigenous woman standing before you, and I celebrated the halls of every time we talked for across the table to colonial settlers who wanted to wipe out Indigenous Peoples Day. So I stand before you to include the indigenous people, the relatives
Speaker,
of
I'm going to ask that you
the
identify
Palestine.
the specific item that you're speaking to. Because
All of them, because it's all indigenous. For 500 years, we've been colonized, we've been settled.
So this sounds
You've
like
ruined
general
the
public
waterways,
comment, so you
you've
can have 1
ruined the
minute for
land,
general
you
public
stole
comment.
from the indigenous
Speaker,
people.
you have 1 minute for general public comment. If there are
You've
other
all
specific items you would
manifested
like to speak
the
to,
manifest
please let us
destiny,
know.
the doctrines of discovery, everything, including the Bible. You have shoved it down our throats. Then you refuse to allow us to speak, traveling from all sides of Los Angeles. We should be here until midnight. We should be here until all the people are heard. All I can say is that there's going to be a lawsuit coming because I come here to speak on behalf of indigenous rights, indigenous sovereignty, indigenous protection of land. The $2 million should go to the graffiti buildings to house people. Stop wasting our time, our money, and our energy. We're here for everyone. Everyone has a right to a tall, cool glass of water, a plate of food, and a place to rest their head. Everyone has a right, including the indigenous Palestine people, my relatives. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Oh, the fucking item. That's right. Now we get number one. Over here, alcohol. In CD 12 by that no good bastard Stepper B. Going to Target so you can buy your underwear and your cheap shoes and get your liquor so you can walk home and beat your old lady, because most of these dickless men wouldn't touch a woman unless they drunk. Right, Eunice? I have to agree. Exactly. And that's why Ben Obulafor, hold on here. What's all this screaming about in the background? Now we get to item number 2. In a 7-Eleven in Vineland Avenue in CD2. That is a fucking shithole over there, filled with urine, drug needles, and garbage all over the place. And Paul Martin Krikorian, known as the goat herder, wants to fucking put an alcohol license in the middle of the ghetto so them poor people can never get sober, never get an education, never amount to shit. That's what the plan of all of these Zionist motherfuckers that pay you to put them asses in them chairs to keep the poor man down and drunk and stupid. Then we get to number 3. Corrugalassian gas station in West Sherman Way, another certified shithole. People drinking themselves to death And many of you in this council grew up in them shithole communities like Ulysses and Kevin, and some of us didn't, like Mr. Price and Blair. But drinking yourself to death ain't the answer. The answer is sobriety and the acceptance of Jesus Christ as your Savior. That's the only way you ever gonna live a good life. Now we get to all kinds of bullshit, and we'll start by just saying politely, fuck number 54 and your convention center.
Speaker, item number 54 is not open for public comment.
Comments. Let's give him a minute for general public comment.
All right. You see, Bob, you can't defeat me. You see, Ulysses, you cannot defeat me. I will be here to preach and lead you to the promised land. A 13-year sentence in federal prison is where I'm going to lead all of you. I'm going to start with Price. I'm going to move to Monte Cal. I'm going to move to Stampa B. I'm going to put y'all where you belong in the Grey Bar Hotel, where you can read the Bible every day and get 3 cots and a hot, as they say. That's right, fool. And what's Paul Martin Kekorian going to do without a bar card? You know better than that dumb shit, Rudy Giuliani. You the same dumb nigga you always going to be. So finally, I'll be back for the special meeting. 42 USC. Fuck all of you, but...
Your time has expired. Okay, we'll go. We've taken over an hour and a half of comment here in the council chambers. We'll now go to the phones for 15 minutes of comments on the phone. No, you can't do that. Sorry, you're disrupting public comment. Everybody, is it ordered to be silent or leave the council chambers? Sergeants, they're not complying with my orders. Please ask them to leave the council chambers immediately and quietly so that we can continue to take comment from members of the public who wish to speak to the city council.
So everyone who is singing and clapping, that includes the people who are on the right side of the council chambers, you were asked to be quiet so we can move on with public comment for the phones. So you were warned, and now you are being told that you're excluded from the meeting. So please leave the meeting quietly.
Please hurry up and leave and stop chanting so we can take more comment from more people. Sergeants, let's move them along, please.
And for people who are watching this or listening remotely, we are still waiting for the people who were warned and ejected from the meeting to leave so that we can continue with public comment on the phones.
All right, let's go to the first caller, please.
DanielGust.substack.com. I am going to use your recess to show the public how to fight back against this censorship with the phones, the aggressive, if not illegal, redaction of public records. And we're going to be dealing with 2 calls, and they're going to have separate lawsuits. And I'm going to walk the public through how you file a claim. I'm going to show how you then sue if the claim is rejected, and how you can even do all of this from the comfort of your home. DanielGust.substack.com, where you're going to find out how to take back your rights. Because when you let them abuse the privilege, they will abuse the privilege. You have a right to unredacted records for the most part. You have a right to participate. I'm going to show you how I documented it, and there will be thousands of dollars at stake, each one a separate small claims lawsuit that you can file and have the trial.
Mr. Gus, that
remotely.
concludes your general public comments. So go to the agenda item now, please. Which agenda item was that, Mr.
The
City
Animal
Attorney?
Services one.
So I don't believe there's one specific to animal services, but one of the amendments did include a line about animal services. So you have 1 minute, for the item. I believe it's 127.
Great. Great. You guys know that the only reason I'm looking at these other things is because Herb Wesson dared me to write about something other than animal issues. Well, you're not taking in animals. I have proof of boxes of animals being dumped, including by Mr. Harris Dawson's pound. We know that animals are disappearing, and we have found out how. So you're not taking in animals. You're not accounting for the animals. Work isn't being done. So why do you need to shift salary? In fact, according to the public statements by Animal Services in the mayor's office, you don't need the money that you're transferring. Obviously, that's not true, but rather than engaging in dialoguing and trying to figure out how to make it better, you're shifting the money around. It'll never get better. And by the way, final note, these 7-figure settlements that you're making at Animal Services are completely avoidable and preventable and predictable. And soon, you're going to start getting hit with 8-figure lawsuits because...
Thank you. Next caller, please.
General public comment?
We had 161 items. Enjoy this preview of what your agenda will look like if this body meets once a week. Notable that we had the same amount of public comment as usual, even though we have 4 times the normal amount of items. All this talk about disruptions. The big disruption at the top of this meeting was the half an hour it took you guys to start the meeting. Included in the long list of people stuck outside were some workers from SEIU 721, Ugo, that you were posing with outside, but you couldn't get him inside. Mind you, Ugo did not properly recuse himself earlier. He has to state specifically what that source of income was. He can't just say, I have an investment. I'm going to work on some Brown Act stuff for you over the break. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Kwan. I'm sure that must have been painful for you to acknowledge, so I appreciate your forthrightness in acknowledging Mr. Stern's qualifications. Next speaker, please.
Y'all wild. Y'all crazy. How about earmarking $1 million to give off to Kyle Rittenhouse? How about that? Because that's basically what you're doing by funding Maggot Am and LA Schmira. All of these groups that are paramilitaries that are going into these streets, abusing peaceful protesters who are speaking out against the countless deaths that are happening in Palestine. And you want to go ahead and fund these paramilitary groups? This is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. How about we don't? How about we fund housing? How about we fund the ending of the genocide, the rebuilding of Palestine? Like, there's so much better things we can do with this money, and yet you choose to bring this as an ordinance, and then you want to table it, say, oh.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
I just want to let the council know the things we as citizens of LA, as ethnic minorities, as people of conscience, and as people of peace see with utter clarity. We see the council waffling on something as basic as supporting a ceasefire. We see the members of the council and the mayor providing beyond bad faith framing of the protests. We see the police being used as a cudgel against protesters, or worse, tacitly deputizing violent counter-protesters to act in their stead. We see the last-minute amendments on item 104 to thinly veil the previous embarrassingly racist and illegal version in order to make it more palatable. Shout out to the city attorney for correcting the council. And we see that this resolution and the council people signing on to the original version are trying to couch racist anti-Palestinian sentiment as pro-religious community support. And just 2 cents here, instead of $2 million in funds, how about we waive fees for a meeting room that the city provides so they can do their illegal land sales in a public facility instead of a house of worship, and we can protest there? Or is that unpalatable?
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, the Guatemalan community has a significant presence in Los Angeles and especially in CD1. This is a rich community that contributes to the fabric of our city and CD1 alone. There are countless Guatemalan small businesses, entrepreneurs, cultural leaders, and scholars. Despite the many contributions, there is not currently a designated area in Los Angeles that honors the Guatemalan community. I do want to acknowledge there was an effort in the past led by individuals to only name a specific area as the Guatemalan Square. However, the petition failed to meet the city's requirements and was deemed ineligible to move forward by the city clerk. While that effort, which began prior to my tenure, did not advance due to the ineligible application, my team and I are deeply aware of the significance of the Guatemalan community, and we have been working diligently with various Guatemalan leaders and community members to create a process that would allow for inclusive Guatemalan community participation, especially the Maya indigenous community. I've come to understand that there's some community distrust as a result of how the process for the Maya corridor in CD1 was allegedly conducted, again, before my time. And while I inherited that project, I'm committed to ensuring that the Civil Rights Department facilitate a working group that receives and records feedback and concludes with the final report to council to ensure there's a transparency and accountability.
Sorry, Ms. Hernandez, could you hold? Sergeants, could you ask whoever is yelling out? They've been warned multiple times to leave, please.
Thank you, Council President.
They have yelled out before. Please remove whoever was yelling out.
This motion will form a working group made up of stakeholders from across the community, across the Guatemalan community, who will come together to identify a culturally significant area in Westlake. Importantly, this motion does not prescribe where that area is, nor what it should be called. Instead, it puts the power of where it should be in the hands of the Guatemalan community, not just one person. My office is committed to uplifting this project and to putting resources behind this initiative. And this motion includes instructions that will allow us to provide small businesses support and community beautification resources to ensure that the designated area is receiving the support and services from the city that are needed to thrive. And we know the work is never done. There's also a desire percolating from various groups for a Central American cultural district. I hope that we can all work together to continue to honor and uplift the communities that make LA the city that it is. It is long past time that the Guatemalan community had official recognition from the city of Los Angeles, and I hope that you'll join me in voting aye today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members wish to be heard? Seeing no members on the queue, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tally the votes.
14 ayes.
Okay, that matter is agreed to. Okay, next up, what's next?
Good
afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
I will try everything.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. So please begin.
Let's start with 158. It's about a homelessness emergency account. Let's see, Purpose Fund 16 status report of the week ending in May, regular to approval of the mayor. Yeah, homelessness emergency. I do believe we have to do everything possible to solve the homelessness. And then as a member who has experiencing homeless before, right now, and possibly I will experiencing homelessness in the future, and I believe, I strongly feel my council member, Ms. Hernandez, is not doing much, is not doing enough, including the city. Including the city is not doing enough for homelessness. But I feel really sad that I will end up on the street. Sad. Number 159. 159. It's about the Department of Aging accepting the Older American grant from the California Department of Aging. Yeah. I support this donation. I support accepting this donation. And then I really wish we can have a problem to make sure all of our LAPD officers will never age. All of our LAPD officers, especially Sergeant Duarte, never age. And then I hope we can wish to all of those fundings to senior LAPD officers, so we can make sure not only they no longer age, but they can become younger and younger. And then I wish that we can take care of those we can use those anti-aging product to take care of the Sergeant Duarte 24 inches
Right.
because
We can move on to the next item now. Move on to the next item, please.
They need maintenance. Number 160. It's about, it's also Department of Aging. It's about $72,000 farmers market vouchers for senior farmers market. Okay, I support this because I know a lot of the senior member of the LAPD officers, they do not have enough paycheck to purchase food. So I believe this kind of farmers market voucher system can boost the nutrition for our LAPD officers, especially Sergeant Duarte, because sometimes I feel he is very skinny. He needs more nutrition. He needs to get a lot of proteins and everything. I support this grant, and I support LAPD senior members, and I support LAPD anti-aging department.
Next speaker.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good afternoon. You have 3 minutes for the items.
Yeah, I want to speak on all items. Starting on all items, is this real? Fucking bullshit about this homeless emergency. How many times have we heard about homelessness and this fucked up crisis that you dumbass politicians have created throughout the years? I'm on 58, asshole. 158 from the bitch mayor regarding one table entitled for a quarter of projects of liability and expenses. Well, the expenses are a bunch of bullshit. That's the reason we're here. That's the reason that we fear, is that you dumbasses don't know how to spend the money to fix the problems. That's why Buckethead and the other racist bastard up there haven't interrupted me yet, because I did 1 minute so far. Now my second minute regarding the funds for the old Americans. Well, yeah, old Americans means that you're not getting any better like fine wine, but you're starting to look like dickheads. And to authorize that $24 million for Older American Act, yeah, that's what it's called, an act. It's not about giving, it's about taking from the lives of elderly people and disabled people like you've done to me, assholes. How many years have you abused me, you fucking cocksuckers? How many times? You like fucking with people. You like fucking with disabled people especially. And the only reason why is because you made me this way, you motherfuckers. And now look at my other minute regarding the senior farms. Yeah, I think Duarte should eat more because he's skinny looking kikey like Bob. Yeah, you know, back in the days when I was in Germany and we had our camps, fucking Bob was bitching about the food.
You're not speaking to the
This is not on
agenda.
the agenda.
I'm talking about the food problems.
Then please tie it to item number 160.
I want to designate some of this money to my non-profit farmers market. I want to be the first Holocaust asshole selling groceries to the poor. I'm on 160, fool. Farmers market vouchers for senior farmers. Well, I want to be the first Holocaust nigger to give out vouchers.
You know what? I'm sorry. You're just so off topic. You're done. You're done, Mr. Herman. Have a seat. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. No, you don't. You have 0 time left. Sit down. Sit down. Exclude Mr. Herman is excluded from the meeting for continuing to disrupt after multiple warnings for the last 6 hours. Get out of our meeting. Get out of our meeting. You're done. You are done, sergeants. Exclude Mr. Herman from the meeting. Get him out of the meeting, please, so that we can continue.
So you have been warned during the special meeting. You are still disrupting
Sergeants,
this
get him
special
out.
meeting, and you have been ordered excluded from this special meeting, Mr. Herman.
Mr. Spindler, your time begins now. Which items would you like to speak on? Spindler, which items would you like to speak on? Okay, start his time. Start his time. 3 minutes, start his time.
But there's a disruption. Can I wait till the person leaves?
No, proceed.
Okay, nigger. So item 156, Fuck the
Item 156 has
mobility.
been continued, so please
Fuck
speak to the other items.
mobility plan. Fuck you. And of course, don't forget to.
Mr. Herman, I cannot hear Mr.
Well,
Spindler speak. Please exit the
Can you
room
start
now.
my time over again? I'm so confused. Can you start my time over like
No.
you do to?
No, keep going.
Like you do for the Jews. Can you do that for me? See, 157. $200,000 for some cocksuckers over at the 6 construction project? Fuck that project. I don't want it. Stealing money is all I see here. What about item 158? Well, I'm getting to that, asshole. 158, the 16th status on emergency for homelessness. It's like Moni Cow said. It's not an emergency, it's a crisis. Let's give her a hand for that. Very good. Yes, and again, you're spending all of this shit money on helping people stay on crack cocaine. Bob Blabenblield has this problem all over his district. And he doesn't care that they're dying in the streets of Reseda. And Tracy Irene Park, formerly known as Tracy Beach in the courts, doesn't care on Washington Boulevard that none of this loss of money is going to get the homeless criminals off our streets. You know what they do? They dump from fucking Culver City, they push them west. So Tracy takes the problems out of Culver
All right,
City.
move on to the next item.
Yes, that's right. Then we get number 159, older Americans. Yes, it's terrible getting old, isn't it? Right, McOsker? Right there, petty pink skin. Yes, only Imelda understands the joy of not being old yet. All the rest of us are just getting over the hill. And we need this goddamn fucking aging money so that we can ride our strollers onto public transportation on our way to get our free food as we wonder where our youth went. What about Nithya? She's young. All right, I'll give her a pass. I'll say 2 council members. Then, of course, we have the dick on 161, the Casa Gondolina. You fucked it up, Kevin. And finally, I want to wish everybody a goddamn rotten 4th of July.
Thank you very much.
You said 157 was moved, right? So it's 156, 8, and 9?
So
and 61?
156 was continued to July 30th. So the
Okay,
items that are
sorry.
open are 157 through 161.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I've been waiting for like 6 hours. All available items, please.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
Item number 158, I think is really interesting that the amount is $55 million for involving homelessness emergency. And we were just talking not too long ago about $55 million all of a sudden to expand LA Convention Center. So it's just interesting how $55 million gets thrown around, you know, willy-nilly, like it's no big deal, when it's for something that people are really excited about for like capital investment purposes. But when it's something for homelessness, everything has to be itemized down to every single penny and pencil. You know, there's not going to be a single blanket or a wall outlet that isn't accounted for down on the invoice for this. But when it comes to $55 million for weird, urgent, rush it right now project that may or may not work, and it might cost you twice as much down the road, it says things like any means necessary, changes by any what's it called, form of communication, whether it be electronic or otherwise or verbal. This kind of deal, it's a lot more itemized. I think it's really interesting. Item number 160. Item number 160. I think this is really important. I think it's sad that it's only $72,000. I'm not even going to count the 500. We'll just consider that. We're going to round down because it really should be $7.2 million for food vouchers for the seniors, because our seniors are starving all across the city. A lot of our seniors are rotting in apartment buildings. The only reason why they can afford to live there is because they've lived there for 30 years already.
So a lot of seniors are going to depend on these vouchers to get food, or unless I'm reading this wrong, and this is for the what's it called, the farmers market businesses. I'm pretty sure this is for seniors to go shop there. People are dying out here, and $72,000 seems like nothing when we're throwing around $55 million. That's going to turn into $100 million for something that might not even work the way it was supposed to. Item number 161. I think it's interesting that we have all these closed session cases that usually just end in settlements in the 6, sometimes 7-figure amounts. That's pretty crazy that we're just behind closed doors discussing, oops, we're not repairing our sidewalk, so now we have to pay someone fucking $200,000 because they supposedly tripped and fell, and it's worth it more just to settle out of court. I don't really know the full information on this case. I just know that if it's a closed session, it's got to be because it's embarrassing to the city, and it's not really to protect anybody's personal information. Item number 150. Item number 157.
Caller, your time has
All right.
expired.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Next caller, which items would you like to speak on?
Next caller, please. Spindler, you're disrupting the meeting by doing that. So, in fact, you know what? You're done. You're excluded from the meeting pursuant to Rule 12. You've been warned multiple times in many, many different ways to stop disrupting the meeting. Okay. I'm sorry. You're excluded from the meeting. Next caller, please.
No more callers in the queue.
All right. That's going to close public comment on all agenda items for the special meeting. So, Madam Clerk, we can go next to we can take up items 158, 157, 158, 159, and 160 together. And for the record, Mr. Price is not... Mr. Spindler, be quiet and leave our meeting. You're continuing to disrupt the meeting despite my instructions to be silent. So now you've had multiple warnings all day long and in the special meeting. Again, you are ordered excluded pursuant to Rule 12 for continuing to disrupt and delay the meeting. We'll wait. And for the record, Mr. Spindler is continuing to shout out as he's going out the door. All right, next.
That clears the dust, sir.
Hallelujah. Members, any announcements? Mr. McOsker for an announcement.
Good news, members. I only have 2 announcements. One is fun, and the other is somber.
Great, thanks. I just wanted to invite everyone to the best fireworks in the city of Los Angeles. I know I'm going to start this. I know it started every year. It's called the Blumenfield Fireworks Extravaganza. And we have been doing it for a long time, as long as I've been in office. We get tens of thousands of people to come to this. It is a huge event at the Warner Center Park. There is music, there is food vendors, food from more than 15 local restaurants, and great music. This year it's going to be Angela O'Neill and the Outrageous 8 with the Paul Litoral Band. Everyone is welcome. It is free for the community. A good time to be had by all.
Members, thank you for your patience and hard work getting a monumental amount of work done today. Congratulations. I hope you all have a very, very meaningful 4th of July holiday as we celebrate the birth of our nation and all of the values that it represents. With that, members, go forth and serve the city well. This meeting is adjourned.